I look blurry. That's weird. It's more light. Hello. Hello, ladies. I hope you can hear me. Julie Scott, your fearless leader, coming in live. I don't know if it's too dark in here. Is that why I look blurry? Anyways, we're just going to go with it because it matters that you hear me more than see me. And plus, I just had my hair done and let it dry by itself. So what you see is what you get. Anyhow, I'm here today to talk with you about something that I've caught myself doing and I see other women doing all the time, and it is waiting. How we wait for things. We play the waiting game. Let me ask you this. You ever feel like you are playing the waiting game? That's what I want to talk about. It's like, because there's something different between what I want to talk about and intentional waiting. So let me just get into it now. There is something that I call or consider intentional waiting. And that means that you're putting something off because it's strategic. It's something that you're actually going to do. And it's for solid reasons. And you eventually do accomplish it. So that's not what I'm talking about. Okay. What I'm talking about is when you're waiting and you don't even know really why you're waiting. Like when you hear about, someone, a friend of yours, doing something that you've always wanted to do. Like maybe they took a trip. I went to Machu Picchu and I've had so many people say, oh, I've always wanted to go there. Or joining a singing group. I'm part of a singing group. Or learning how to dance. Or maybe creating some form of art or tapping into your creative side. Or, I don't know, starting a business. Moving to a new place, moving to a new town, moving to a new country. Or doing something adventurous. Okay? And you think to yourself, hey, I want to do that, right? Or I've always wanted to do that. You hear yourself saying those kinds of things? Now, I know for me, and because I've had this happen to me too, it's like you get all fired up about it and you maybe even do some Google searches and you think about it and you play around with it in your head, and then life takes you away, or you talk yourself out of it, or whatever happens for you. Again, I always come from my own experience. That's usually what happens to me. Life takes me away. I tell myself why I can't do it right now, or I'll do that later, right? So I know that I have wasted so much time in my life, for so many things, for big things, for small things, for just waiting, right? And I have some examples that I want to share with you. Like when I was married, I waited for my husband to notice when I was upset, right? But I said nothing, right? I would spin stories in my head of, what I thought, if I say this, then he's going to say this, and then this will happen, and then we'll be in an argument or whatever. I would spin things, and then I would just be like, oh, why bother? And I would just continue on, right? I waited for my family to notice all that I was doing. When I was married with him and his children, I'd wait for the family to notice all the things I did around the house, all the cleaning, all the organizing, all the things that I was doing around the house, waiting for them to ask if I wanted help. They never did. But I was waiting. Okay. I waited for others to validate me, to make me feel valuable, right? For all that I do and how I am as a person. All the while I was thinking that I wasn't valuable, that I was worthless in a lot of ways. I waited for years to leave my marriage. I was waiting for the right time. I was waiting for it to not feel hard. I was waiting for things to change. And I waited for years to leave my marriage. And I also would spin things in my head like, oh, I should just be grateful for what I have. It's not that bad. What if I can't find someone else? And who am I to want more, right? That was some of the things I remember going through my head. I waited for 10 years to leave a job that I didn't like, that I was unhappy in. And I told myself, what if I can't find a better one? What if I'm not qualified to do something else? Or maybe I'm too old to change jobs now. It's hard to get hired these days, when I'm older, right? Or I can't lose the income or whatever. And so I stayed and I stayed and I stayed and I waited and I waited and I waited. I waited for 47 years to go to Europe because my ex-husband didn't want to leave the United States. I just waited and I told myself, well, if he doesn't come with me, I can't go by myself, and I don't know how I would do it, and I scared myself off of it. So I waited 47 years to go to Europe. And I love to travel, okay? So you get what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. And if you're on here live watching me, please comment. And if you're watching the replay, please put #replay. It always helps other women to find this in the group. So if you get what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. And I see this all the time with people around me. I see this with the clients that I work with the ladies that I work with. They're playing the waiting game and not going after what they really want in their life, right? And I found for me, what it really was about for me is I wasn't making myself a priority in my life. I wasn't making what I wanted a priority in my life. I was making what somebody else wanted a priority, or I got caught up in what other people would think or how it would look, or, just I let fear hold me back, but I really just wasn't making myself a priority, right? And I find it's the same for the women that I talk to and the women that I work with, right? They're not making themselves a priority in their lives either, okay? In fact, it's common for many women over 50 to struggle with putting themselves first in their life. We've raised children, we've worked the careers, the job, we took care of our husbands, and now we've got our aging parents. There's so many things, right? It seems so hard to put ourselves first, right? I hear women saying all the time, I'm going to start doing what I want to do as soon as my kids are out of the house and off to college, grown and out of the house, right? But then the kids leave the house. Maybe they come back. Maybe they're still, maybe they're 20s, they're coming back and living at home again, and they're still waiting to do what they want to do. Or I hear, starting this coming Monday, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to start getting into shape, and I'm going to start eating right. Right? I'm going to start taking care of my body and my health. I'm going to do it, right? But then Monday comes and Monday goes, and nothing changes for them, right? Or when I retire, I'm going to travel to all the places I've always wanted to go. I know so many women who've retired and they still haven't gone to any of the places that they want to go. And they're still waiting to take those trips, right? And I understand too. I do. Now that you're older, you're not as comfortable at making, decisions like you were in your 20s and 30s. You feel like you just have a lot more life experience. Whatever that is. It's harder to make decisions, it seems, when we're older, right? And instead, you're not as comfortable at making decisions to change. And instead, it feels easier just to wait, right? For a better time, for the stars to align, for it to feel right, right? Believe me, I know I have stories that I tell myself too. And it's easier really just to stay disconnected from what you really want, right? And that's absolutely what happened to me all those times I waited. And I still find myself waiting. I'm not perfect, okay? I still wait, around certain things, but I have a process now to figure out why I'm waiting. Okay. So it's easier to avoid the question as to why I was waiting and prioritizing what I wanted, right? So let me ask you, why are you waiting for whatever that is that you really desire, that you really want to do, that you really want to change? What are you waiting for? And do you like the reasons that you're giving yourself for waiting, for why you're waiting? And do you really believe it will be easier to do all of these things that you want to do later, right? Do you really think that you should wait? Do you really think that you'll have more time later if that's, maybe the story that you're telling yourself, right? So let me change my page here. I got some notes. Do you really think that you're going to get around to prioritizing yourself? Do you believe that? So now what I want you to do is I want you to check in with your feelings, like even how this whole talk is making you feel. Maybe it's pushing some of your buttons. Maybe you're not somebody who waits, and that's amazing. But so many of us do. So I want you to check in with how you're feeling, because feelings are so important. Do you feel great? Do you feel awesome waiting because, you're being like responsible and it makes good sense for you to wait? Or do you feel some sort of not so good feeling, like maybe sadness, or that you're less than, or that you're not deserving, or unfulfilled, or held back, or envious, or maybe disappointed? The main reasons that my clients work with me really is because they feel stuck, unhappy, and unfulfilled for various reasons. Okay? If you don't allow yourself to be happier, do you think you'll feel fulfilled? Now, you may not look at it this way or even think about it this way, that you're actually standing in your own way of being happier, but you really are, okay? When you find yourself waiting like this, like waiting for a better time or because of whatever reason or excuse that you're coming up with, you're really not putting yourself first. That's really what's going on. You're not prioritizing what you want as much as you're prioritizing what others want. And you're not committing to yourself. And then more time goes by and you feel worse about waiting even longer. Believe me, I know. Okay? The thing is, you're actually making a choice, right? You're making, even if it doesn't feel like you're making a choice, by waiting, you're choosing to wait, right? You're choosing to stay right where you are. Okay? So how do you stop waiting? Well, you have to just decide that figuring this out is worth it, that you're worth it. And then just get curious about your thoughts and your reasons and excuses about why you're waiting. Because if you really examine them, those reasons, those stories, those excuses you tell yourself, and you're really honest with yourself, they will lead you to what you believe about yourself. And your beliefs are the key to everything. What you believe drives your thoughts, drives your behaviors, drives your thoughts, drives your feelings, drives your behaviors, drives your actions, and it drives the results that you have in your life. And then that result will in turn can reconfirm that belief, right? That's how our minds work, okay? So it's important to just get curious about why you're waiting, okay? And remember, beliefs are just persistent thoughts. And really, you could even consider them just as decisions that you've made about yourself over the years. Okay? And thoughts, again, beliefs are persistent thoughts. Thoughts change all the time. Just think of how many thoughts you have a day. And you can change your thoughts anytime you like, right? But you first have to become aware of what you're thinking and what you're telling yourself. I mean, so much of my life before I woke up was on autopilot. I mean, I just ran these same programs of thoughts around my head about so many things, from my ability to lose weight, to my ability to have a business, to my ability to find and have a healthy, supportive, loving relationship. I mean, so many things. I had all of these beliefs that I wasn't even aware of until I started getting curious about what I was thinking. So you have to turn that focus back to yourself, that focus that's always out here on your external, and bring it back to you and just be like, what am I thinking? You know, just be curious, okay? And then once you do that, then you can make some new beliefs, new decisions about yourself, new decisions about what's possible for you. What if? What if I believed more was possible? What if I stopped waiting? What if I just went for it? Right? Anyways, remember, it's okay to have intentional, it's okay to wait if it's an intentional waiting, right? And the reasons why you're waiting feel good. They make sense, and maybe they're even strategic, right? Because you're choosing to wait. But it's when you're not choosing to wait that doesn't feel good, right? You know, you just have to get clear on why you're waiting. So raising your awareness around why you're waiting is absolutely the first step in stopping the waiting game and getting on with what it is that you want in your life. Okay? All right, that's what I've got for you. And I hope you got some value out of this. If you did, please leave a comment below this video. I'd love to chat with you about your thoughts on this. All right? You have a good evening. Much love to you.